Today we're going to start with something a little bit different to help build our skills, but eventually we will be, by the end of the video, able to factorize something called quadratic trinomials. And it's a method called multiply to give, add to give. Now it does sound quite tricky, but as we go through each step of the video, it will start to make sense. The first thing I want you to try and do is fill in this table. So I've given you two numbers on the left-hand side. After I explained it, you'll have time to pause it and fill in all of these empty boxes here. What I want you to do is, in this box here, I want you to times those two numbers together or multiply them together. So I'll do the first one for you. In this box here, times 7 and 2 together. So 7 times 2 is 14. In this box here, just add those two blue numbers together. 7 plus 2 is 9. I'd like you to do the same thing through each row. Go. Here are your correct answers. Be particularly careful when the negative numbers start to come in. Use a calculator if you get confused when the negatives appear. So here, 8 times 3 is 24, 8 plus 3 is 11. 1 times 5 is 5, 1 plus 5 is 6. Here, when your times a positive and a negative number, your answer is always going to be negative. And if you're not sure here, when I'm saying add, this just means 4 plus negative 6 or 4 minus 6. It means the same thing. It gives you the same answer. Down here, negative 2 take away 5. Or if you prefer, negative 2 plus negative 5. If you're using a calculator, it doesn't matter how you type either option in, it will give you the same answer at negative 7. All right, while this might look a bit confusing, if you wanted to go back and watch that again to try and have another go at understanding it, please do. If you are ready for the next table of numbers to fill in, it will look a little bit different, but here it is. Only 4 to complete this time. Don't worry about the bottom row. But now you're working in the opposite order. You need to find what two numbers fit this requirement. So for the first one, you need to find two numbers that when you times them together, the answer is 8. But those same two numbers have to add up to 6. So here's a possible answer. 8 times 1 equals 8. So I've fit this requirement. 8 times 1 is 8. But if I add these numbers together, 8 plus 1 equals 9. So that answer's wrong. So they are not the two numbers that I should write in there. Have another go. See if you can find what numbers will fit each of these requirements. Pause it and take your time, but not too many number combinations multiply to equal 8. So if you keep going through every combination of your times tables, you will find the correct combo. Have a go. Here are your correct combinations. Now, first of all, it doesn't matter what order you wrote the numbers in. If you wrote 4 and then 2, still correct. But 2 times 4 equals 8, 2 plus 4 equals 6. So if you want to rewind or pause it and have another go before you see the other answers, please do. Otherwise, if you think you filled it incorrectly, just correct them according to the board here. 3 times 7 is 21, 3 plus 7 is 10. 5 times 3 is 15, 5 plus 3 is 8. Okay, and same for the bottom. Let's try one more table. Very similar, but this time there'll be some negative numbers, so have a calculator handy if you want that to help you. Okay, let's have a go at these three. I will give you a bit of a clue and say, when you times these two numbers together, the answer has to be negative 10. That means one number has to be positive and the other number has to be negative. Again, it doesn't matter what order you write them in, but remember, if I times two numbers and the answer is a negative, one number has to be positive and the other number has to be negative. So keep playing with your number combos, pause it and take your time, see if you can find out the correct combinations here. And here are your combinations. Please don't worry if this is too confusing or you're not keeping up. The next part of the activity might make more sense to you, even if this doesn't. If you are getting these right, well done. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. 5 minus 2 equals 3. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. 5 take away 3 is 2. Negative 7 times 2 Oh, I've written it the wrong way around. Negative 7 times 2 is negative 14. And then negative 7 plus 2 is negative 5. Two more that I'll put down the bottom. They're a little bit trickier. All right, here are the last two. Apologies if you were racking your brain trying to get this one here and it didn't work out. My mistake, I wrote the numbers in the wrong boxes. Here's your last chance to have a go though. These ones I promise are written correctly. This time, when you times them together, the answer is positive. But when you add them together, the answer gives you a negative. So the clue I'll give you here is both of these numbers will have to be negative. Because when you times two negative numbers together, you end up with a positive answer. But that's the only way we can get to a negative answer here. So here's a clue. For these ones, both of the answers will be negative numbers. See how you go. And here they are. Here are your correct combinations. Well done if you got those correct. Now, I'll show you what the purpose behind that was to help us with factorising. You will see a question that looks like this, and the instructions will say factorise. They'll say factorise this quadratic trinomial. That's just a fancy way of saying something, an expression that looks like this. That's all it means. So your mission is to get this back into brackets. Whenever you see a question that looks like this, I will tell you that, and make sure you've put the heading in your book which matches the heading of the video, because when you see a question that looks like this and you say, oh, this is that thing about factorising using multiply to give, add to give method, you know straight away, well, my answer is going to look like this. I can tell you that every single answer is two brackets touching each other. Always. And I can tell you that whatever letter is here is always the first letter inside each bracket. So you can do that too. You're halfway to your answer and you haven't even had to do any maths yet. You've just followed the headings, looking at the name of this video and looking at your notes to tell you, always start off my answer like this. We'll do our working out down here, but as you can see, we've nearly filled in our answer already. Here's the tricky bit that you need to remember. Whenever you see a question like this and you have to factorise it, underline this whole bit in the middle, including that plus. You need to find two numbers that add up to whatever the number in the middle is, and you need to find the same two numbers, just like you were doing in that table, that times together to equal that number on the end. So that looks a little bit confusing, but I want us to set it out in a table. You're trying to find two numbers that times together to equal 14, and the same two numbers add up to equal 9. So all I've done is rewrite what was in the table, but putting the times part first, that is a times symbol, putting the times part first is a bit easier because they're the two numbers that we need to find. So what I'd like you to do now is have this set up here, write down all the different combinations of numbers that times together to equal 14. Now you do clear, there aren't very many. There's only two different combinations for you to write down here. Write down both of them and then add the numbers up and write the total in this column here. Go. Here they are. These are the different combinations of numbers that times together to equal 14. We're trying to find out a combo that times is to equal 14, which is both of them, and adds up to equal 9. Well, if we go down our list, boom, here it is. Circle the winning combination. Circle the combo of numbers that you want. It's these ones. So those two numbers are the numbers that you write up here in the brackets. Now, it's a positive 7, so we write plus 7. And it's a positive 2, so we write plus 2. And that's your final answer. Once you get a bit more confident, you might be able to do this step in your head, and that's totally fine. But while we're practicing, I want us to draw a table like this and put the little add and times all the time underneath each one. Let's try a couple more. Okay, here's the next question. Again, start setting out your answer. You know that it's going to be two brackets that are touching each other, and you know that it's going to have an X at the beginning. So start by writing out your answer now. Do that first. And here we are. Now, the important bit to remember is you have to find two numbers that add up to whatever number is here in the middle and times together to equal whatever number is on the end. So what I've done in green, that's the same for every single one of these questions. You can always underline the middle and write add, always underline the number at the end and write times. Now to help you find those two numbers, draw up your table. You're trying to find two numbers that times to equal 6 and add to equal 5. Fill in your table, please. Write down all the combinations and then add them up over here. Circle the winning combo. There are two different combinations of numbers that multiply to equal 6. And if I look down this column, I'm trying to find the ones that add up to equal 5. There's the winning combo. They're the ones that I wanted. They're all positive numbers, so put positives inside your brackets. Fill in the rest of your answer. Put a 3 in one bracket and a 2 in the other. Do it before me. Plus 3 and plus 2 goes in there. That's your final answer. That'll get you full marks. Another one. Here's the next one. There is a minus in this one, so a little bit different, but all the same things. Start by drawing what the answer will look like. Put your brackets there with the X's. All right, I feel like we're already halfway done. We've got the answer nearly there. Now, like before, do the little green underlining up here, like I would. Write down what numbers you have to find to add and where the times needs to go. Okay, this is where the underlining of the sign is really, really important. They have to add to positive 7, but when you times them, you're not just timesing to equal 18, you've got to times them together to equal negative 18. So when you set your table up down here, times to equal negative 18 and add to equal 7. Now, let me just start you off by saying, for this one, like before, when you times two numbers together and the answer is negative, that means one number has to be positive and the other number will be negative. So when you do your combinations, I'll just do one as an example, negative 6 times 3, that equals 18. But if you write that, you also must write out the combination the other way around. Or you can keep the numbers in the same spots, 6 times negative 3, because that equals negative 18 as well. You need to write down every combo. So I've done the first two for you. Keep going with as many others as you can, and then add them up down here, see if you can find the winning combo. Here are your combinations. I ran out of space, but if you did it properly, you technically should have had negative 18 times 1 and 18 times negative 1, but I ran out of space. Either way, if we look down our list, you can stop once you've found your winning combo if you like. We're trying to find the one that equals 7. It's this one here. Not negative 7, so it's this one here. There are your two numbers. Go up the top and fill in what your bracket should look like, please. One's a positive 9, the other one is minus 2. So don't put a plus in the other bracket. And there's your answer. Positive 9 and negative 2, or minus 2. Call it what you want, it means the same thing, but don't write plus minus inside that bracket. You just put the minus 2 like it says here. A common question students ask you, does it matter which number goes in which bracket? No, it does not. It would be the same if those brackets jumped and swapped places. Last one. Here's the last one. Copy it out and start setting up your answer. Put your brackets down with your X's in it. Okay, do your green underlining now so you can remember what you have to add up to and what you have to times to. So here it is, you're trying to find two numbers that add up to negative 8 and then multiply or times together to equal positive 12. So this is where it gets a bit confusing like before. When you times them together, your answer is positive. But when you add them together, your answer is negative. So these two special numbers, let me give you a bit of a clue, they will both need to be negative. So draw your table up, times to equal 12 and add to equal negative 8. I'm just going to write minus 8 there because that's what they have to equal ultimately. So both of your numbers will have to be negative in the times column. Have a go, circle the winning combo. Here are all your combinations and negative 8 is what we're looking for, so that's our winning combo. Fill in what the bracket should look like. There's your final answer. Okay, these questions can get quite tricky, so have a go at the book questions and ask for any help that you might need.